on with us this morning. Good morning, Zach Riberty. Zach, good morning to you from Connor Sports up in the UP. And Zach, we got some snow here in West Michigan last night and a little bit of rain and such, but maybe you got a little bit of that storm too, but it's not stopping you from doing great things there in Iron Mountain, right?
Yeah, the wheels have been turning and everything's been rolling for a couple of weeks now. So we're just hours away from tip for first and second round games here for the March Madness. Obviously, the first four games concluded last night, so it's go time.
Yeah, absolutely. Take us through because Connor Sports, just for our listeners, a little bit of foundation there. A UP company, but did the NCAA reach out to you? What was that backstory? Because now, as we watch March Madness unfold, those courts that are on there, both for the men and women, right? That your team have created and provide to the NCAA.
Yeah, we've been fortunate to be partners with the NCAA since 2006. So through the maturity and blossoming of our relationship, it first started as just providing floors for the Final Four in the national championship, and then from there, in conversation, NCAA reached out and said they'd like to expand that, and that's when it went to multiple sites having floors that we would make for that. And now we're here in 2025 where we got courts for the men all across the country. And then the women's tournament, we have two separate locations for the regionals and then the women's Final Four national championship as well. So in total, I think we're between like 19 and 20 floors around the country.
That's incredible. And what kind of time frame was that? Was that okay, we're going to supply it this year and then it expanded the next year, or was it kind of a gradual
it was a gradual process. We really wanted to establish our relationship and make sure that we both had a really strong foundation as to what could be expected and obviously what we could provide. We really pride ourselves on being one of the premier hardwood flooring companies in the country. So we didn't want to just put a product out for the sake of putting it out. We wanted to take our time. And in doing so, we were able to kind of mature that relationship, like I mentioned. And now we got courts everywhere. We're building, as far as a year in advance. We're procuring lumber from forests up north in the UP, meeting standards that we have to meet as far as a year in advance. And, the whole process is really special. And it's always really just fun for me on the one side because I do more of like the public facing, but to see the actual facility where everything comes from, knowing it's from like a small little postage stamp town in the Upper Peninsula. And we got floors that there's going to be 80,000 screaming fans watching the men's national championship at. It's pretty awesome.
It's got to be rewarding. And if you're just joining us, we're talking with Zach from Connor Sports this morning. Zach, there's a lot of questions I have, and I'll try to get as many out to you as possible. And we appreciate you taking the time. You'd mentioned about the curing of the wood. What is that process like? Is it you'd mentioned like a year in advance? Is it to the point where you're making sure that you have enough so that there is no delays in doing these floors?
It's never really a matter of having enough. For us, we have to meet a certain level of moisture within the wood before we can start using it to build the floors. So part of the entire process is going through an air drying process, which is like completely done outdoors, to which you guys know in Michigan, it can have a pretty funky swing from being below zero to, we're up in the 40s and 50s. So we're hitting some moisture content on the outside air dry. From there, it moves to an internal kiln dry in our facility. And something that we're very proud of is that we're 100% zero waste. So all of our kilns are operated by actual wood scrap that we burn to heat everything. And then from there, we're keeping the moisture content extremely low. Once we hit a certain percentage and threshold, it gets put through the milling process. The unique part about what we do for the NCAA courts is all the floors are built in our specific portables department, because the intent for these floors is to be put down in an arena in a couple hours. Games are played over, a long weekend, let's call it like Thursday to Saturday or Friday to Sunday. And then courts are pulled up that Sunday night, put back on a truck and brought back to our partners for warehousing for the rest of the, off season. So the process from start to finish is very intricate. Our team up north does an incredible job. I cannot tip my hat to them enough. And I'm very well aware that without their hard work, we wouldn't be able to do any of this.
Absolutely. Let's talk about that expectation, and you kind of laid it out there for us from your side of it. But what is the expectation from the NCAA side of it? From what you expect the players to want to play on. I'm sure the NCAA has said, okay, these are our expectations.
Yeah, so we want to give them the best possible product that we can. So we're always looking at this from an innovative standpoint. If it means that we're going to try and make the install process go faster, or if we're going to do what we can to make the playing surface better. Within the NCAA conversations that we do have, the biggest thing is we're working not just within Connor Sports, but we're working with partners across the country to make sure we're meeting graphics, make sure we're meeting game lines, make sure we're meeting several different standards to which the actual court you guys are seeing on TV when the games are being played. Those have been looked at, checked off, reviewed this year by as many as I think 7 different people on the NCAA and Connor Sports side. So it's a combination of multiple touch points. It's a combination of multiple conversations. And I'm very fortunate and very proud to have started those conversations as early as like January and even December of 2024 to start planning for the tournament. So we make sure, especially this year, we made sure that we dotted every I and crossed every T, so there were no mistakes, no errors. And the floors you guys are seeing the games played on, those are the ones the players are going to get the spotlight this year, which is how it should be.
Absolutely. And you said that they go into storage. They're used for possibly for the next year. If sponsor logos change, if things change, are you able to still work that in the next year? How does that logistically work?
Yeah, so that's within the finishing side of things. So we have finishing partners that we work with that are both stationed at separate parts of the country. So we can obviously, send a court from the West Coast to a different area versus sending a court to the East Coast to a different finisher. Every year at the end of the year-end tournament, the courts are stored in a climate-controlled facility. Once we start having initial conversations for next year's tournament, we start walking through what the graphics and design are going to look like for each one of the floors. And at that point, we either have a conversation over doing what's considered just a screen and recoat, meaning we're just taking off like the top layer of sealant, doing some minor adjustments, maybe a new game line is added, or maybe we need to do a couple of touch-ups where something could have happened in transit. And then it's just completely resealed and ready to go. For the regional floors for men's and women's, as well as the final floor and national championship floors for men's and women's, those courts are built 100% brand new every year. From there, we go through the entire finishing process with our finishing partners, and they're pretty incredible at what they do. And the actual unique thing is we are able to release a time-lapse video, which is going to come out in the next coming days. But when you actually get a chance to watch it, you can see that our finishers are doing a lot of this work by hand. This isn't just like a simple machine type process. They're actually taking the time to put down the stencils, putting paintbrushes in hands, going through, meticulously detail by detail, like I mentioned, to make sure the floor looks incredible. And they do exactly that.
I think we've already seen it out there. I think CBS Sports, I believe, shared it, or one of the national, and it was really neat to be able to see that process. And I guess that brings me to that next question: is how rewarding is it? What is the back conversations like around the office, around the workplace there? I'm sure, like any product, we're always critical. It's like, oh, look at that there. Could we have done better there? Or, it's working the way it should be. What are those conversations like?
It's every part of the business is different. So our guys in the portables department are working hard already at building floors for other customers of ours. So this is like kind of a churn and burn for them. For other people within the actual manufacturing mill itself, to members like me who are outside of the office a lot and working with a lot of customers, this is a moment for our team to kind of take a step back and really just take it to heart and see how all the hard work through the course of the year has paid off. I will say that we do something special with our parent company, which is Durfloor. We do what's considered a champion of the year. So every month we nominate champions of the month. At the end of the year, we offer to vote to the entire company who they chose would be the champion of the year. And then the champion of the year actually gets to go to one of the event sites with a partner there. So they get to bring a friend. It's 100% paid for by the company, which is something that's pretty unique. And then they get to go and actually see the games live and go spend a day doing nothing but watching basketball. So it's a pretty cool way to say thank you for us, because we know without the work with the people in Michigan, we're not doing anything.
Absolutely. And I know I just have a couple more questions and we'll wrap up this morning, because I think
Sure.
it's nice to be able to share this Michigan related story. It's a company that is we get to highlight on a national level with March Madness and seeing those floors being used by the players. But you still on an everyday or every week basis are working with local schools in Michigan and across the country. We had Mason County Eastern just down the road from us. They put in a new floor recently, but for those high school gymnasiums and such, do you still have those same standards? What are those differences, or what are those standards between what we see from a NCAA standpoint versus what we see from our local high school and community floors?
Yeah, we like to kind of brag amongst ourselves is that we have products from the K to the NBA, right? So we have something made for kindergartners, but we also have something that's made for the level of competition and just sheer size of an NBA player. So to your point, the floor that's going to go in at a high school gym, or maybe a high school rec center or a college rec center that's going to have 6, 7, 8 floors in there, right? That's going to be a completely different setup than what you're actually seeing for the NCAA tournament games today. We have a wide range of products to offer, but where the magic happens is within our R&D department and what they're able to do with what's considered the subfloor. So it's difficult for the common everyday athlete or the common fan to look at a basketball court and really truly understand what's going on. But what we do in most high schools and the high schools that you're mentioning is we'll put a specific subfloor that's meeting requirements of shock absorption, of area deformation, of ball bounce, just overall some safety standards that we like to, really maintain strong numbers on. That's all happening below the actual maple itself. So some floors that we make are, extremely safe. They're meant to put energy back into the player and eliminate fatigue. Other floors that we're putting down, they're meant to be used by a younger athlete, somebody who's in a junior high to, kindergarten type range. That's just going to be in there for gym class. And, on a Thursday, they're playing floor hockey. And then on Friday, they're playing basketball and dodgeball. So we got a little bit of everything, but we're really proud to be able to say that we can put courts in for somebody as young as a kindergartner. And also we know we can perform with people like pro athletes in the NBA.
Absolutely. Last question for you as we wrap up. And if you're just joining us, we're talking with Zach from Connor Sports. They take care of the floors that you see at in March Madness, and we can actually say now it's from the start of March Madness, right through the whole series of games, where it used to be how many years ago where it was just the Final Four.
Yeah, that was 2006 is when we first started the partnership. But for now, the game started Tuesday, Wednesday, the first 4 in Dayton. That's our floor. So it's the very, very start of the tournament.
That's pretty awesome. It's a feature of the NCAA games that maybe people don't necessarily, I'll say it this way, pay attention to. They're looking at the athletes and the shots and the fouls and who wins and so on and so forth. But is there any story that has come out that you might want to share with us of somebody where they did observe it? They were able to say something to you that kind of brought it home for you. Do you mind sharing that with us this morning?
Yeah, there's a couple times every year that we get to do something really unique. And this is part of something that the NCAA offers to us is like a little bit of a thank you, in which at every men's Final Four and every women's Final Four, we're offered what's considered like a first look and a behind the scenes tour. So after the process starts, we usually install the floor about a full week before the actual games take place. And in between that time frame, the Connor Sports team, as well as some customers of ours and some preferred contractors of ours in both locations, We'll get to go into the arena, whether it's this year for men's is going to be the Alamo Dome. This year for the women's is the Amalie Arena, I believe it's called, in Tampa Bay. And they'll do a full behind the scenes tour. So it's more than just seeing the floor. You get to go in the locker rooms, you get to walk the tunnel, you get to actually feel what it's like to be on a team and go from the back of the house out to the arena. And it's pretty awe-inspiring when you're walking out. As for me, a former basketball player whose number one sport as a family literally revolved around watching basketball. So I'm now walking out of the same tunnel as the best athletes in the entire country who are competing for a national championship into an arena that's going to have 80,000 screaming fans. And it's awesome to do something like that, but it's even more special when we're seeing friends and customers and contractors of ours doing the same thing with family and having their kids go. And you're seeing little kids who are, 5 and 6 and 7 years old, like just in shock of being on the floor and like looking up and trying to figure out, how am I going to shoot a shot with 80,000 people around me, let alone I'm a 5-year-old who can barely make a shot on a 10-foot hoop as it is. So those are the little memories that we get, and that it's just special those days.
Absolutely rewarding. Well, Zach, we wanted to share this story of a Michigan company that's doing great things, and it sounds like the sky's the limit in regards to what we can see in floors that we can see out there, and from the NCAA level to around the world, I would assume that you're working with. Well, we appreciate you taking the time with us this morning, and hopefully we can connect with you in the future in regards to this topic. And when we're watching the games over the next week or two, we now can kind of bring home what they're playing with, the surface that they're playing on. So thanks for taking some time with us.
Yeah, and absolutely. And looking forward to today and the next coming weeks. It's a really special time of year, not just for us, but for the entire country. I mean, I'll argue with anybody that March Madness is the best time of year. So
absolutely. No,
we're
it's
ready.
great. All right. Well, we appreciate it, Zach. Thanks for taking some time with us, and stay warm up there and everywhere where your team's working. So thanks so much for being with us.
Absolutely.
It is Mom FM, and